Welcome to my tutorial. My name is Brian Butters and I'm going to show you how to make a cinemagraph in Photoshop. Cinemagraph is basically an animated GIF that looks like a picture but it has just a little bit of animation to make the eyeball go, wow, that's cool. So this is from my blog, digitalmediablog.com, with little hyphens between the words. So this tutorial right here, and we're gonna open up in Photoshop. Since we have a constraint of time, I've already created this, and we're just gonna go through basically the idea of how it works. So go to File, assuming nothing's open. Go to File, and make sure if you're on a 64-bit, make sure you're on a 32 on Photoshop. When you're working with video frames to layers, because it doesn't like the 64-bit video frames to layers. You want to select your video, which I called it motion, hit load, and I particularly like to limit to every 2 frames so it cuts the size of it. It's not a really big deal. You lose a little bit of quality, but it's not too bad. And limit every 2 frames. Okay. And basically the idea is you need to figure out where the start and end of your motion, and mine's going to be around 50 here. So about 50. The motion, I'm not worried about my hand, but I'm worried about where that water is going to start coming out. So that water is starting to come out right about 50, 58-ish right there. And go ahead and delete from 1 to 58 in my case. And then when you get done with that, you figure out where the end of that water comes out. And in my case, I'm going to look at here. And a stream of water still there. Alright, so this is where about 147 and then on, I'm just going to delete those frames. So I'm going to have probably around 70, 80 layers, frames left over. Now, what I want to do from then on is create a layover and make sure your image and your video is in the same dimensions and also in the same trajectory area. So like using a tripod and everything. So it kind of matches up what we have. And we're just going to hit select all of it and then Control C to copy it. And copy. And make sure you're on your very top layer here. Otherwise you have to bring it all the way up. You want to make sure you're at the very top. And right here, and use the quick match tool. And you just take this area right here. Actually, my bad. Right here. And we're going to paint it on here. This whole area right here. And deselect right here. The quick mask tool. Since it's selecting only the other area, you want to go to select inverse and selecting only area that I want. All you have to do is hit delete, and basically it's combining those 2 areas together. Now you can actually play those areas. You can see where that water comes from, but you don't see my hand because the other picture is covering over the motion of my hand. And when you're completely done, when you're satisfied, you can hit File and Save for Web, and then you can change the width and height, and depending on what size you want. And when you're done, you can select it where you want to save it at, and then make sure you're on GIF right here. and hit select, and then you're done, and you have your video, your GIF. Thank you for watching my tutorial. Have a great day.